आप सभी के साथ हम स्टार्ट करने जा रहे हैं टेक्निकल सेशन एंड जितने भी लोग अभी भी बाहर हैं आई रिक्वेस्ट एवरीबॉडी प्लीज कम हियर. So technical session, competitiveness, draw ABC and other costing techniques. So first of all, I would like to invite on stage our session chairman, CMA Bhattad sir, past president ICAI. I request sir please kindly join us on stage. Everybody please let's give a big round of applause. Now I request our speaker CMA Kishore Bhatia sir. So please come forward. And apart from that, I would like to invite on stage our chapter representative CMA SS Sinha sir. So please join us on stage. On the time, I would like to invite on stage as speaker CMA Kishore. Thank you so very much, sir. And now I request all श्रीफल से और जितने भी हमारे यहाँ पे डिग्निटरीज हमारे यहाँ पे मौजूद है, जितने भी हमारे इनवाइटीज, आई रिक्वेस्ट जोरदार ताली हो जाएंगे एक बार आप सभी कमाने में हुआ.
इधर देखेंगे
सर पकड़ के इधर देखिए. हाँ इधर देखिए सर. हाँ थैंक यू.
Thank you so much sir for being here. सम्मान अभिनंदन करेंगे. We want जोरदार ताली हो जाएंगे everybody.
Good morning to everyone. Thanks to the Bilaspur chapter for giving the justice to the speakers. Thanks to the Bilaspur chapter for giving the justice to the speakers, giving sufficient time to give his presentation. ABC costing, it is a very old concept, but it is quite relevant in all the times. All costing principles like allocation of cost, preparation of marginal costing, break-even points, all are relevant. Now present, experts are given them in different name and presenting the same thing. But this chapter is a kept old tradition continue and kept this live topic of an important topic for the allocation of overheads and preparation of the cost sheet for items. So I request today's speaker, Sri Kishore Bhatia, to give his presentation. He will have a sufficient time, at least 1.5 hours. Then there will be a question answer and summing
about this. In case there are any shortcomings or you find any errors, any mistakes, please forgive me. If I don't meet your expectations, please forgive me. At the same time, I am sure there are enough learned members here who would like to share some of their experiences, some of their knowledge. Please feel free to do so. Thank you. So let's begin with what I had read on WhatsApp, the definition of accountant. It says someone who does precision guesswork based on unreliable data provided by those of questionable knowledge. Fortunately, our profession and our learning is not towards this side, but towards hard, solid data and perfectly concluding information. So we are not into the category of guesswork accountants. My today's session is split into 4 parts. Part 1 is competitive advantage. What is competitive advantage, that we will go through. Second part is role of CMA in this. Third part is techniques for gaining competitive advantage. And finally, I will touch on activity-based costing. So to begin with, I will start with some quotes. The traditional role of a CFO is to go through the results with the board of directors, explain what happened and the reasons for variances versus past periods and budget. This is what has been happening all along, but over the time this has changed. This inward looking view ignores markets, competitors and their performance. So this needs to change, and this has changed a lot. And thanks to CMAs who are supporting the CFO in doing this. Then in one of the Sherlock Holmes stories, there was a quote. It's a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. Because without data, if you come up with a theory, you will twist the facts to suit your theory. So please avoid this, and we are avoiding this. Money is the language of management. You all need to show them the numbers. Without numbers, if you talk, without monetary implications, if you talk, people may not take you seriously. If I come and tell you that, okay, there was a, say, 1000 kg of material X was wasted, unless I put a value to it, like it came to 56 lakh rupees, that number is a wasted number. And then Robert Kaplan, management guru's quote, poor costing systems have disastrous consequences. It is a well-known management axiom that what is not measured cannot be managed or improved. Since providers misunderstand their costs, they are unable to link cost to the process improvements or outcomes, preventing them from making systemic and sustainable cost reductions. So, what we need to understand from all these is, A, everything needs to be backed by proper data, and B, that data needs to be quantified in terms of money so that people understand the implication thereof. Now, if we look at the definition of competitive advantage, competitive is an adjective which relates to competition. I am not going through all the lines in this. I will be sharing my PowerPoint at the end of the presentation. I will be sharing it with Mr. Maiti, and anybody who wants can share through him, or you can contact me. I will share my email ID. I can share my PowerPoint with you at the later date also. And advantage, of course, is something which puts you in a more favorable position. So competitive advantage is something where I am ahead of somebody else in business, or it pertains to sports or any other area. Similarly, Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, CMA, has defined it as situation where an organization exerts more competitive force on its competitors than they exert on it. So relatively speaking, I am putting more pressure than my competitor, so I am having an advantage over it. And if you look up to Oxford Dictionary, it says a condition or circumstance that puts a company in a favorable or superior business position. So, to summarize, competitive advantage leads to lower cost than others, but this is not the only way of looking at competitive advantage. I may be selling a product costlier than my competitors, but at a price, but with some more benefits. So, relatively speaking, I am offering more for little more of money. So, if I give more benefits than others, or if I give it at a cheaper price than others, both ways I can gain competitive advantage. So, benefits costs offered by an organization should be greater than those offered by the competitors. And competitive advantage, how does it arise? A, it arises through having better resources to produce, to sell, to reduce costs, etc. Or it can also arise through better utilization of the resources available to me. Okay? Basically, competitive advantage is an outcome of resources which an organization deploys. Now we look at what is a resource. A resource is an economic or productive factor required to accomplish an activity undertaken by an enterprise to achieve desired outcome. Three most basic resources are land, labor and capital. This is what we have learnt in our early days. Other resources include energy, entrepreneurship, information expertise, management, etc. Resources can be tangible or intangible, we all know this. And in today's times, intangible resources are gaining more and more importance. An organization can be competitive through efficient utilization of resources. Unlike past, capital is now chasing entrepreneurs and ideas. Also, technology is disrupting existing businesses and throwing up new opportunities. A combination of technology and capital is leading to automation and disintermediation. In today's times, we are seeing how internet and private equity and new business models are disrupting the existing businesses. So, as I mentioned earlier, competitive advantage arises through better resources or better utilization of resources. Now, what is resource-based competitive advantage? Michael Porter, the management guru, had given this theory that competitive advantage arises through resources. So what are the resources? Resources can be classified into four categories. Valuable resources. They enable a firm to implement strategies that improve its efficiency and effectiveness. Resources are valuable if they help organization to increase the value offered to the customer. This is done by increasing differentiation or decreasing the cost of production. So if I am producing say 10,000 tons, but my competitor is producing 25,000 tons through the same plant by running it 3 shifts, he has better economies of scale, better utilization of resources. So there is a valuable resource with him. He is cheaper than me. Now if we look at product differentiation, we have seen Apple computers or Apple phones, iPhones. They have unique systems compared to others. They are not compatible with most of the other software and gadgets. You have to go through Apple family software and gadgets to continue using them. That is differentiation. Then rare. The rare resource is something which is not available to other competitors. Resources that can only be acquired by a few companies are considered rare. When more than few companies have the same resource or capability, it results in competitive parity. So today I may be having a resource which is only with me, but tomorrow if it is available to others also, then that rarity is lost and that competitive advantage is also lost. So if for example, if I have mining rights for coal or iron, if the rights are only with me, I am having competitive advantage. Similarly, if you take the case of Gillette blade manufacturer, they manufacture their own machinery which they do not sell to anybody else in the world. That gives them a great competitive advantage in shaving products. Now, inimitable resource, that is those which cannot be easily implemented by others. It is available to others, but it is not possible for others to copy you because you have done something unique, like the case of Gillette machinery. A company that has valuable and rare resource can achieve it temporary competitive edge. However, if the resource is not possible to be copied or similar resource cannot be deployed by a rival, then it is called inimitable resource, and that gives a sustained competitive advantage. It gives you patent, for example, patented technology. We have seen COVID vaccines. It has given phenomenal advantage to the manufacturers because they had patents. Nobody else could do, and there were hardly 4 or 5 in the world. But all these cannot be giving you any advantage unless you are organized to take advantage of it. This is where the organization or the spirit of the organization comes into play. The resources do not create any advantage. the company is not organized to exploit these resources and generate value out of them. The company therefore needs the capability to assemble and coordinate resources effectively. So if somebody gives me a Ferrari car, fine, but I may not be able to drive it at say 200 kilometers. I don't have the ability. So it is useless to me. Nor can I gain any advantage out of it. Same thing I have put in the form of a chart. So on the rows we have got the valuable, rare, inimitable and organized resources. Now if I have a valuable resource, it can be acquired by anybody or it can be very easily created by others. So it's a neutral advantage. Then if that resource is also rare, then it gives me short-term as well as, it gives me a short-term advantage because the resource is valuable as well as rare. And then if it is inimitable, that which cannot be easily copied, yes, with these three resources only, I still do not gain any competitive advantage. It is unused by me unless I have the organization to use all the resources. And as I mentioned earlier, rapid technology advances and access to equity have had disruptive effect on this competitive advantage. Suddenly, earlier you may recollect, we had so many search engines. Yahoo was prime search engine. Suddenly what we found was, one fine day Google comes in, it disrupted the whole thing. It took away the search engine business. Next they came up with Gmail, and what we find is nobody is touching Hotmail or Yahoo Mail because they started offering large mailbox capacities. Now here is a case study of an auto ancillary company where I have been involved for almost last 25 years. So when we started the journey, it was a low cost producer because it had the way of doing manufacturing which was much better than others. So it had a value advantage. Then they started the tool development. They were doing metal pressings like what we have. A simple example if I give is a katori or a thali, things like that, but specific with good technical specifications. Then they started in-house tool developments. That was a rare resource. Still they gained some more advantage. Then they developed a unique product technology which is sheet metal pulley. They got inimitable advantage because it is not easy to copy this. There are maybe 5 or 6 companies in the world who manufacture these machines. They develop their own machine in-house. So ultimately they ended up in one of the 20 manufacturers of the sheet metal pulleys in the world. Then they professionalized the management. Now see the impact. In the first stage in 2002, we went to the private equity investors. They put a value of 2 crore rupees on the company. Then when we started in-house tool development and we showed them, they valued it at 20 crore rupees. At that stage, we took the funds, we grew, and they also came on board. They started providing professional advice, mentoring the organization, professionalizing the management. Today that value is 100 plus crore rupees. Tomorrow we hope within next 1 year it should be crossing 200 crore rupees. Today it is a multi-location factory diversified into auto. It went beyond auto, local as well as export businesses. So this is what I wanted to show by way of resources, how it can take a company from where to where. Now we come to resource availability and utilization. We all remember the good old game of Saap-Sidi, snakes and ladders. Now say this is me organization and these are the competitors. Now if some resources are available to me or not, I am not available with the competitor, I am at an advantage. If they are available to both of us, then there is no advantage. If they are not available to both of us, then also we are all both in neutral state. And finally, if there are resources which are not with me, but which are with the competitor, then he is at an advantage. But in case of equal availability of resources, level 2, an organization can become more competitive through efficient utilization of resources. So, as I mentioned, if both of us have plant of same capacity, but I am running it for 3 shifts, my competitor is running it for 1 shift, I am at a competitive advantage. To give some examples, see, there are 2 types of competitive advantage. One is comparative advantage and the second is differential advantage. What is comparative advantage? It is an advantage for a company's ability to produce or provide something more efficiently than a rival, which leads to greater profit margins. Now 2 examples I will share with you. One is, we have all seen companies like Big Bazaar, D-Mart or Reliance Retail. They can source goods much cheaper than competitors due to their sheer scale. A grocery shop may be buying 10 units from say Unilever. These people will be buying 1 lakh units, so they get much better pricing as well as credit terms. Similarly, we are in cement belt. You all might recollect in 2017, Supreme Court had imposed a ban on use of pet coke in cement in Haryana, Rajasthan and UP because of pollution problems in Delhi. So what happened was pet coke is a much cheaper substitute to coal in cement manufacturing. So this gave advantage to competitors in other states. But this was a temporary advantage. When this ban was lifted in January 2018, these plants were back to level 2, that is, advantage was available to players in other states as well as in these states. And now a case of differential advantage is when a company's products are seen as both unique as also offering higher quality than those of the competitors. As I already mentioned, Apple uses a differentiation strategy to appeal to its consumer base as well as provide iconic designs, innovative technologies and therefore highly sought after products. This ensures that consumers are willing to pay a premium for Apple devices. Now, see, ultimately a business normally runs for profit as well as for wealth maximization of its investors. So if we look at investors' perspective, what do they mean by way of competitive advantage? Like Warren Buffett had called it an economic moat. What is a moat? A moat is a body of water which is surrounding the fort. People dig the land around the fort, fill it up with water so that enemies cannot enter the moat. So moat was popularized by Warren Buffett. It refers to a business's ability to maintain competitive advantage in order to protect its long-term profits and market share from competing firms. Just like a castle, the moat serves to protect those inside the fortress and their riches from outsiders. When looking to purchase a business, Buffett also looks for enduring competitive advantages. This, in a nutshell, is what makes a company great. The width of the moat around the company's core business. So for many years we know LIC had a monopoly. Now it was a huge moat. Of course, in those days we could not invest in LIC, but it was a monopoly, huge moat. So they were the sole suppliers of life insurance policies. Had LIC been listed in those days, the valuation would have been sky high. Other example is of course HDFC, the housing finance company, which started many years back and was a virtual monopoly in housing finance business. Now what are the sources of providing these moats? Again, this is also competitive advantage. Intangible assets, patents, brand value. Why do people call, say, toothpaste as Colgate? This is the intangible asset and the brand value of Colgate. Cost advantage, which may be due to availability of resources, technology or scale of manufacture. Then switching cost. Now say for example, I have a bank account through which I have been paying my taxes and my income tax refund also comes to that bank account. Now it is not very easy for me to close that bank account and move out. because something would always be pending in that bank account to be credited, perhaps, hopefully by way of tax refunds, etc. So it's not easy to switch out of that bank account. Similarly, loyalty programs, like with credit cards you get points, bonuses, or with airline miles you get points and bonuses. So you don't want to move out of those points and bonuses and loyalty programs. So it's not easy to switch out. And then there is network effect. Because of the sheer scale, others cannot get in. So WhatsApp and Facebook are two prime examples. Everybody uses WhatsApp, although Telegram is available, but not many people have moved on to Telegram for chatting. Similarly, Facebook, it disrupted Orkut, but it has established so well. Today, it's very difficult for somebody else to displace Facebook. Visa and MasterCard, they had virtual monopoly. Suddenly, RuPay came from Indian government and it disrupted their business and they started crying. But till then, they had the hold on the whole industry. And then the market size. If the market size is not big enough for new players to enter, you might find a long-term advantage, competitive advantage. There are not many, but there are so many chemicals and pharma products where the global demand is in a few tons. It's not possible for somebody else to get into that business because the market size is small. Another example I can think of is production of mentha oil. Mentha oil is used for manufacture of menthol. Now 80% of mentha oil is produced in India globally. Now nobody else in the world is now able to challenge India because it is a low cost producer. Plus the market size is such that it's not growing, whereby the surplus production of new producer can enter and build a business. So it has ended up as a sole monopoly, almost you can say virtual monopoly for India, and it continues to do so till somebody comes up with a substitute and disrupts their business. Next, I will give an example of sustainable moat. Again, you can replace moat with competitive advantage. For example, I am an orange juice seller and there are competitors in the same street with me. So we all buy oranges from the market. Our cost is 250 rupees a liter. Selling it in glasses at 300 rupees a liter ultimately, making a profit of 50 rupees. Very happy. Then what I do is, I go to the farmers and start buying oranges myself directly. I am gaining 20 rupees. So what I have done is, I have reduced my selling price by 10 rupees. I make more profit, and because of lowering price, my business has also grown. But next what happens is, my competitors will also try to find out how Kishore is making more money. So they start following me. They find out, oh, he is buying from the farmers. So they follow me. They also start buying. So ultimately what happens is, everybody starts buying, everybody's cost comes down. So everybody brings down the price. So everybody is back to the same level. So whatever short-term advantage I had because of valuable resource is lost. Then what I do is, I do some research, I engage some technician, and I make a patented orange juice with some benefits, health benefits. So my cost goes up by 10 rupees, but because of my patented orange juice and my publicity, I am able to sell it at 300 rupees. So this gives me again profit of 60 rupees. Now in this being a patented juice, my competitors cannot follow me. They cannot come back to me and fight with me. So what we find is, in the third stage, in the second stage, when I started buying from the farmer, I got a competitive advantage. But when I patented that formula for fortified orange juice, it became differentiated advantage. So company's economic moat represents a qualitative measure of its ability to keep competitors at bay for an extended period of time. This is where the maximum value and wealth is created, because you are able to generate sustainable profits over a period of time. This translates into prolonged profits in the future. Now let's come to the role of CMA. I have put these 4 diagrams. Basically and simple thing is cotton wool. This gets converted to thread. Again, that thread gets converted into garment. It has a value compared to first 2 stages. But if I don't brand it, it's a commodity. When I brand it, it has phenomenal value. Put it differently, data, information, knowledge and wisdom. This is where our big role comes. Data. So what happens is, somebody gives me a number, 11, 11, 20, there's a mistake here, sorry, it should be 11, 11, 23. Now this is meaningless, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3. Then I convert it into information. Oh, it's a date, 11th November of 2023. Then I look up the calendar, why this date? I come to know, it is Deepavali. That is knowledge. Now how do I convert into wisdom? Yes, my children's school will be closed. My office may have 5-day holiday. I can take some leave and I can have family time. I can go on a vacation. So that small number can be converted into wisdom. Similarly, if somebody gives me a number, my production manager comes and tells me 2000. Now what it is? It is production quantity. Now if I compare it with installed capacity, it tells me it is 50% utilization. So this is knowledge. But how do I convert it to wisdom? I need to reduce prices to improve my utilization and increase my profits. So these are the 4 stages, and we as CMAs need to take the data ultimately to the wisdom for the benefit of the organization as well as of the society. Role of CMA. A, quantification of resources. What is available with the organization? So I start with what is existing. Next, I analyze the resources with what is available, what can I do. So I am preparing a budget. Third is utilization of resources. How can I utilize these resources and what can be done with it? Fourth, what has been done with it? Fourth is cost benefit analysis of resources. What was the outlay versus what was the benefit derived therefrom? So I have planning, I have actual working, and I do a post-mortem. What was my plan? What is the actual? What is the difference? What is the benefit derived? And then I go for comparative analysis with the budget. So budget versus actual, past versus present, competitors, resources and utilization versus my working, new resources available versus existing resources which I have. So how do I take the organization forward? For all this, a comparative analysis is required. And then I set key performance indicators comparing with actual performance. And again, start with the step 1 for the next period. Now we will discuss some costing techniques for gaining competitive advantage. These may be used in isolation or combination. Of course, I have written down a few techniques. There are many more, and I am sure some members would like to share their experience and knowledge also. And to succeed in all this, it is essential that top management is involved in the exercise. Without their support, without their blessings, it is very difficult to implement these techniques, because the organization within may or may not, like other departments, may not be conducive to sharing information or maybe working as a team together for achieving competitive advantage. So what I would like to say, now coming to the role of CMA. CMA needs to look within the organization with a microscope. We need to know the smallest of the details, as well as look outside with the telescope as to what competitors are doing, how do I gain competitive advantage? So he has to act as a businessman within the organization. He has to have the courage and flexibility to think outside the box. Whatever is done is fine, but what can be done is for the CMA to find out through his own analysis of within the organization and those of the competitors. So please remember these two instruments, microscope and telescope. They help us all along in our career. Now let us look at some of the specific techniques. First is benchmarking. Benchmarking is establishment through data gathering of targets and comparables that permit relative levels of performance and particularly areas of underperformance to be identified. I'm sure all of you are aware of benchmarking. Like, okay, my car is giving fuel average of say 10 kilometers per liter, but my neighbor's car is giving 12 kilometers. That is a simple way of benchmarking. Now benchmarkings can be of different types. One is internal, comparing one operating unit or function with another within the same industry or within the organization, different factories. Then there is functional benchmarking, comparing internal functions with those of the best external practitioners regardless of their industry. So we may find certain functions are common across all industries, which could be even say preparation of annual accounts within how many days. So Infosys may be doing it in 10 days, Tisco may be, Tata Steel may be doing it in 20 days, somebody else may be doing it in 30 days. So I can compare accounts finalization all across the industry. So it need not be restricted to my industry alone. So this is operational benchmarking or generic benchmarking. Then competitive benchmarking, in which information is gathered about direct competitors through techniques such as reverse engineering. So I may buy my competitor's car, I may break it down to find out why it is giving a better fuel average, what is inside that car which makes it superior to my product. This is competitive benchmarking. I buy his car, I break it down, I do reverse engineering. And then finally strategic benchmarking. This is looking at what other companies are doing in terms of top management, strategic initiatives, competitive product development and other long-term qualities and processes that have proved successful. So in strategic benchmarking, I am taking a long-term view. I am trying to find out where competitors are heading or where the best managed companies are heading. Now it may be noted a little more on benchmarking. It may be noted that at times it is better not to compare but think differently. I may keep on looking at say railways. I may have Vande Bharat, I may have bullet train. Then suddenly Elon Musk comes and says, okay, I have got Hyperloop. I have not benchmarked against anybody. I have created a new product which is a totally different technology. That is, he has ignored benchmarking, he has gone in other direction only. Now benchmarking, where does it help? It helps us to know what and where we can improve. It helps us to analyze how others are achieving higher performance levels. And it helps us to utilize this information to improve performance. So as I mentioned, benefits of benchmarking are improved performance, understanding relative cost position, me versus my competitors or other organizations. So I can locate my areas for improvement, and finally it helps me in gaining strategic advantage. Now in the case of strategic benchmarking, I am planning to set up a modern retail store chain, something like DMart, Big Bazaar or Reliance Retail. Now there are two models available for stores. Like DMart buys the store premises and then starts its store. But Big Bazaar used to rent out premises rather than invest money in property. It used to invest in working capital management. Now I have a choice whether should I go the DMart way or Big Bazaar way. Now here it's a strategic benchmarking which I need to find out which is more suitable to me. So next is COPQ, that is cost of poor quality. Joseph Juran first discussed cost of quality analysis in 1951 in the first edition of Quality Control Handbook. Cost of poor quality, what it is? Costs that would disappear if every task were always performed without efficiency. So my actual cost versus my minimum possible cost, the difference is cost of poor quality. Had I done everything perfectly, my actual cost would have been my minimum cost. When quality costs are initially determined, as we start this process, the categories included are the visible ones: wastage, rejects, testing cost, reworking cost, recall from customers, inspection cost, etc. As this goes beyond, we find capacity utilization again is a poor quality, excess inventory or lack of inventory leading to unused capacity, incomplete sales orders, loss of order due to wrong quotation, working capital mismanagement. For example, I have received a check today morning at 10 o'clock. Now, if it is deposited today itself immediately, I will save on interest on my cash credit facility. But my pune or my man goes at 2:30 in the bank. I have lost credit for 1 day. That is cost of poor quality. And I may go one step further. I will ask all my customers, please pay through RTGS. It saves my interest cost. It saves my clerical effort also. So that is cost of poor quality. How can I can improve on my poor quality even in treasury management. The current accounting systems do not collect this cost. It is very difficult to collect this cost in the books of accounts, and hence they remain hidden, and so often we are not aware or we do not look at these. Of course, some of these we are doing it through our costing, capacity utilization, underutilization, impact cost, etc. Now, Joseph Juran split cost of poor quality into two parts: cost of good quality and cost of poor quality. Now, even to produce good quality, I have to incur costs. What are those costs? Prevention costs. Prevention costs are incurred to prevent or avoid quality problems. They are planned and incurred before actual operation. These include establishment of specification for incoming material, processes, finished products, services, etc. Then planning for quality, creation of quality plans, reliability, operation, production, inspection. So I will have SOPs also. Quality assurance, creation and maintenance of quality systems. And then training. I need to train people for developing and maintaining all the above functions. So without training, I may not succeed in providing good quality. Then appraisal cost. Having created the structure and the culture, I need to constantly measure the costs and monitor the activities which I have proposed. So measuring and monitoring quality is the appraisal cost. These costs are also associated with suppliers and customers' evaluation of purchased materials, processes, products and services to ensure that they conform to specifications. These include verification costs. So I have an inspection at the end of production or even on the receipt of raw materials, in-process inspection, etc. Quality audits, that quality systems are functioning properly. And then supplier rating. I will keep on rating my suppliers also, so that I know who is a better supplier, who needs to improve, who had the maximum say rejections, etc. Supplier rating also has a cost. So these are the costs of good quality. You incur this to achieve good quality. Now, having failed good quality, then we have the cost of poor quality, which are split into two parts: internal failure and external failure. Internal failure costs are incurred to remedy defects discovered before the product is delivered to the customer. External failure, as you would logically conclude, is post supply of material to the customer. So internal failure is waste. I have produced something but it is totally rejected. I cannot even repair it, wastage. Similarly, scrap, reworking or rectification. So if something has gone wrong and I can improve upon it, so correction of defective material and errors, so this also leads to additional cost. And failure analysis, having identified wastage, scrap and rework, activity required to establish the causes of internal product or service failure. Why this failure happened also needs to be analyzed for future improvement and for future perfection. So there is also a cost involved for that. And then finally the external failure cost. These are incurred to remedy defects discovered by the customer. Repairs and servicing, I may have to go on site and repair. Complaints, customer complaints I have to handle, there is a cost to that also. And returns, goods may come back. Now we have seen once in a while some automobile companies recall vehicles because there is a failure in some part, they have detected a defect in say air safety bank. They will recall 10,000 vehicles. This is an external failure cost because it has been discovered post the delivery of the goods. But biggest external failure cost is loss of goodwill, brand value, as well as loss of future business. So external failure cost is very high in the last cases, and loss of business to quantify again is something very difficult. Next we come to target costing, another technique for costing. What is target costing? Product cost estimate derived by subtracting a desired profit margin from a competitive market price. This is defined by CMA again. So what happens is, in today's times where so many products are commoditized, there is nothing unique about your product. It is same as others. So I have to produce, I have to sell at what market is everybody is selling. Now to make profit, my control is on my cost. My control is not on my selling price. So what I have to do is, I have to target my cost. My selling price is given, the target is given. What attributes my product should have, that is also given. Say for example, I want to get into the business of soaps. Now I do a survey and I find out Lux is the most common soap used, biggest market, and I want to enter that segment. So what I will do is, I will have to find out why people are buying Lux. Is it because it doesn't melt easily in water? Is it because it has a very nice perfume? Is it because it gives nice clean feeling after the bath? Having found out the qualities and attributes of the soap, I will have to find out at what cost can I produce the soap which has all these qualities. So I will find out, okay, Lux is selling at 10 rupees. Now my cost comes at 9.5 rupees. Now I cannot compete with Lux with 50 paise margin because I have to give some margin to distributors and retailers. So what do I do? I go back to the drawing board. I will try to find out some more ways. I will try to bring down my cost. So my target is, compared to Lux, I have to sell cheaper. I want to sell it at 9 rupees 75 paise. So that is my target. Now my profit margin has to be 1 rupee. So my cost has to be 875. So that is my target. It is a structured approach for determining the cost at which a proposed product with specific functionality and quality must be produced to generate a desired level of profitability at its anticipated selling price. The target is determined by answering the following. What do the customers want, at what price, and at what price competitors are selling it. So as we discussed the example of Lux soap, these were the three areas I looked at. Good results can be achieved by combining multifunctional employees, create a team to achieve the target cost. And as we all know, Nano is a classic example of target costing. The product may have failed, but it was a classic case. Ratan Tata gave the target, it has to be a 1 lakh rupee family car, and it was delivered. Now next comes life cycle costing. Now this, when coupled with target costing, is a very nice tool. When seeking to make profit on a product, it is essential that total revenue arising from the product exceeds the total cost, whether these costs are incurred before, during or after the product is produced. So, put it differently, again continuing with the example of soap. I want to enter soap business. So step 1, I am doing market survey. Step 2, I am designing the product. Step 3, I am deciding on the technology and plant location. Step 4, I am setting up the plant. Step 5, I am producing. Step 6, I am selling. At the end of maybe 20 years, I decide to retire from my business. Now, if there is no buyer for my business, I will have to close down my factory and I will have to disassemble everything, or maybe I will have to scrap everything. If there is something left on the premise, I may need to clear it, etc. So there is a cost of closing a business also. So all this is life cycle costs. I need to recover all the costs through my revenue. I cannot say that I will recover my production cost only, or my production plus designing cost plus depreciation only. I need to recover the cost of closing the plant. I need to recover the cost of initial market survey. I need to recover the cost of creating the product, etc. So there are 4 principal lessons to be learned from life cycle costing. A, all costs need to be taken into account when working out the cost of a unit and its profitability. So I may have the cost of production, but I need to amortize my initial cost of creating the product. I need to build those into it. Like we have deferred revenue expenditure in case of creating a company, preliminary expenses. Similarly, in case of creating a business, I have the cost prior to starting the business. B, attention should be paid to all costs, which will help to reduce the cost per unit and will help an organization achieve its target cost. So for example, I may look at this way, that if I want to reduce my cost, okay, I may set up a automated plant which helps me in reduction of product cost. But it also adds to my depreciation and interest burden. So I have to balance all this. I have to create a cost structure which is minimal, encompassing all these factors. As I mentioned, many costs will be linked. For example, more attention to design can reduce manufacturing and warranty cost. If my production process is designed in a much better way, my manufacturing and the failure cost, these are minimized. Similarly, more attention to training my employees can reduce machinery maintenance breakdown costs. More attention to waste disposal during manufacturing can reduce end of product life cycle cost. So if scrap is generated, wastage is created, if I keep on storing it, it is going to add to my cost when I close the factory. If I keep on disposing little by little, then my authorization at the end of the period is also reduced, and B, my space requirement also falls. One of my clients used to manufacture citric acid from molasses in Surat. What happened was, in the process, gypsum was generated. Now gypsum can be used in cement manufacture, but this gypsum was so pure as compared to natural gypsum, it could not be used in cement mixing also. So what they did, they started using it as a landfill. Now when the factory closed due to Chinese dumping, the pollution authorities caught on them. Please clear up this gypsum pit which you have created. It was a huge area and they had to spend a lot of money to clear it. So end of product, had they done this on a regular basis, it would have been much easier and cheaper to do this. Now, costs are committed and incurred at very different times. A committed cost is a cost that will be incurred in future because of decisions that have already been made. So in life cycle costing, we have to keep this in mind. So what technology I choose today will have impact on my costs over a long period of time. So if I set up a 1 lakh ton plant, but my, say, production is only going to be, my sales plan is only 10,000 tons for next 5 years. I have committed cost today and it is hurting me for next many years. So committed today, but the hurt is coming in future periods also. Now, if I am using, say, target costing along with life cycle costing, it is a very good combination, because between the two I can decide how much to incur, how much should I keep fixed, how much cost should I keep variable. We can control cost to achieve targets. And since this life cycle costing compared to our traditional costing is not confined to one period, it shows the benefit of short-term sacrifice over long-term gains also. So for example, to show a healthy profit, I may cut down on maintenance. Fine. But in my life cycle costing, it is going to hurt me in future periods because of breakdown, lower capacity utilization and higher maintenance cost also. Let us look at the phases in life cycle costing. First is designing. So here we have R&D, designing and tooling. Then comes the project, what technology I am going to use, within what timeline I am setting up the project, and at what cost. Now, setting up the project, the timeline and costs, if they are controlled, they are going to give me benefit forever by way of lower capital, lower interest, and faster revenue generation, because my project is implemented in a short period of time. Then manufacturing, we have to consider material, labor, overheads, inventory, maintenance and other costs. Then we come to post-manufacturing. So we have marketing, sales, after-sales service, warranties, etc. And end of life, decommissioning, disposal and environment cleanup. Now in Indian context, we don't generally look at the last phase because we presume that, okay, when I close, I will just sell the land as a value. But suppose if it were a leased land and I have to give a clear land back to the owner, it is going to have a cost. So end of life cost, because I have to dismantle the whole plant, I have to clean up everything and then return the plant to the owner, land to the owner. Two classic cases, of course we don't have those in our normal manufacturing. One is, of course, this is relating to Britain's Oil and Gas Authority. In 2017, they had issued a report on offshore oil and gas decommissioning of all of UK's current and future offshore facilities. We all know UK is producing a lot of crude oil through offshore facilities and pipelines, development wells, etc. Suspended. They also have suspended wells as well as appraisal wells, trials, etc. and onshore terminals for bringing the crude back to the refineries. The cost was estimated at $77 billion. This is a huge amount, which if not factored into the costing of crude oil production, would kill the company when it is decommissioning. Same year, Shell began the huge task of decommissioning its oil rigs after decades of planning and consultation. It took 10 years to plan decommissioning of oil rigs. The rigs built in 1970s could take up to 10 years further to complete the decommissioning. So it's a 20-year project. Similarly, oil fields set up in Alaska. Now, when they decommission the oil field, they have to take back even the single screw used in that plant back to the mainland. Nothing can be left in Alaska. So the cost of life cycle costing, end of life, is very crucial. Coal industry or mining industry also, the mines left open after they are decommissioning have a cost.
There are more people are mining here. They know more about mine closure cost and reclamation of land.
So anybody would like to share their knowledge on this mining closure cost?
Because we have to now.
Please share.
Shall I give you?
यहीं से बोलेंगे क्या I can speak from here over?
नहीं, mic.
Fine.
Thank you, Bhattad ji. I am very happy. I am happy.
As concerned, as you said rightly, Coal India has got the responsibility closer to the open cast mines also, as well as underground mines after decode. Once it is decode totally. So earlier we were not having a concrete plan except providing some what do you call the provision for the mine closure. But Government of India, Minister of Coal has mandated it in the recent years, that's from 5 or 6 years back. There are two plans. One is a progressive mine closure, second is a final closure. So far as the mine closure plan is concerned, for the progressive part, every mine has to obey certain rules. They have to create certain things sort of expenditure, whatever is incurred. They will be separated and kept in the total mine closure plan. And after once the total code is decoded from the mine, so again they have to incur certain expenditure for closing. So the advantage is that having a vision for 30 or 40 years where the mine is going to be closed. So abhi se bolo ke provision karke rakh rahe, that's the best part of it. It has come from last 4 or 5 years only. So activities what are regulated by the Coal Ministry, whether the same activities are being performed or not by progressive mine closure, ये भी देखा जाता है, and it is a very nice methods going on. So that's all.
Bhattad, it is nicely developed technique by the Coal India. They are adding in the project report, the mine closure chapter is there. Every year, they have control organization. When you incur the expenditure, then you have to submit a statement, which will be audited. After that, they will reimburse you that amount. So, in the first year itself, every year you have to set up a certain amount for the mine closure, so that at the end of the time, you cannot say that I have no money. Money is there with the Government of India in their accounts, joint, that's called escrow account. And when you incur the expenditure on mine closure and reclamation of land, then that amount is reimbursed to you by the government. Out of that money.
Anybody else would like to mention anything? Please, most of our manufacturing units do not consider this, because we always feel closing a business is going to give me much more money than what I have earned in the life cycle of my business. And recently I read that some of these coal mines are being opened up for tourism also.
That is the
different activity, but something good.
They are making the swimming pool in the underground of the mines.
Acha.
Swimming pool.
So hopefully next time I come to Bilaspur, I will be able to benefit from it.
It will show. I can show in Nagpur.
Okay. Now, would you like to repeat for the benefit of?
Coal mines have developed number of mines as a tourist place also. What they are doing, they are doing preparing the big gardens by using the waste. In Savner mine, they have developed environmental garden. In Silvara mines, underground mine, they have created a swimming pool. And they are being rewarded by Government of India, Ministry of Safety. So this is the one more social responsibility the coal mines are doing. And they have signed a MOU with the Maharashtra Tourism Development Corporation so that their buses go, show them and take back.
Example for this kind of thing is in Japan, in the northern part of Japan, when the mines were closed, they converted the whole place to all the miners and the families were dependent on that. They didn't want to go out of that place. That's another important thing. So these people have together joined, developed the entire area as a resort. And it is fetching so much of money for that whole, where employees formed an organization with themselves. And all the miners and their families have become the employees of that resort, and they do the customer service now. They are the bearers, they are the managers, they are the so on. So the entire mining area has become a HM resort, and there is some hot springs are also possible there in that area, luckily, because of the mining conditions. Some hot springs are also there, and with that hot spring that is attracting more. And in that one, the interesting thing is, they ask every visitor do a evaluation of their services, in which one evaluation is asked for is that smile evaluation. You are supposed to evaluate the smiles on the faces of the people who serve you. Okay, the end of it, for that there is a every day evening there is a dance ballet will be there, and in which there are different people with the different heights people are dancing. And end of the thing, the last scene is all the people who are standing in a line with the heights and arranged in such a way, shortest at the middle, tallest at the either side of it, and all of them will smile. If you connect the lips of all the people, it will be big smile. Oh. Very interesting. And people are expected to evaluate, give their view, and on that basis, next day they are invited that they found some deviation. If you can point out, they are given a free ticket for next day. Come and re-evaluate and check it out. That's the difference.
That is an obsession for quality and perfection.
Perfection.
So next we come to competitive intelligence. If you know yourself but not your enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If I don't know what my enemy is doing, what is his strength, what is his weakness, I am going to suffer a defeat. Sun Tzu was a Chinese general who propounded this in 500 BC. And it is applicable to our businesses also today. Competitive intelligence is gathering of publicly available information about an enterprise's competitors, the use of that information to gain a business advantage. The goals of competitive intelligence include identifying potential business risks and opportunities and enabling faster reaction to competitors' actions and events. If I know my competitor is going to announce a sale on 1st of January every year, okay, fine. How will I use it? I will announce it on 29th of December. This is competitive intelligence in simple words. The covert and often illegal gathering of competitors' information is known as industrial espionage, spying. We are not talking of that. we are talking of ethical competitive intelligence. This is very easy, it's a very vast field, and as CMAs, we can also do this. I have done this for a few companies, for a few industries. We can gather information from sources such as annual reports and periodic results, stock exchange filings for listed company. For unlisted company, we can always go to MCA 21, pay 100 rupees and download so many reports. Filing of charges again can be downloaded from MCA 21. If I have created a charge in favor of a lender, the details are available. Filings with SEBI. When I am filing a prospectus, so if my competitor is filing a prospectus, I must immediately download it, because after a few years, if I want to know anything about it, maximum disclosure is available therein. Credit rating reports, these also have a lot of information. And finally, documents filed with Pollution Control Board. And I can give one more example. One of the dice manufacturer hired me. He asked me to find out production capacities of 3 or 4 competitors. So he told me, how will you find out? They are not listed. I said, leave it to me. I will go and find out. So what I did, I took a morning train from Mumbai to Vapi, took an auto to the competitor's factory. Outside the factory gate, there is a board which specifies what is the production capacity as filed with Pollution Control Board. I just took a photograph, went to Ankleshwar, went to other 2 competitors, took the photograph. Next day, I gave him the information. He was surprised, how could it be done and how did you get this? I explained to him the whole process. It cost him only 20,000 rupees. I felt very rich, earning 20,000 rupees in one day. But otherwise, he was spending lakhs of rupees on gathering a lot of information, and he was failing. And documents with Pollution Control Board have maximum information about production, technology, raw materials, effluent generated, etc. Very good source. And then we come to the final of the techniques from my side, that is anti-dumping duty. What is dumping? It means export of an article from any country or territory to India at less than its normal value. We are talking in terms of India. So if somebody is selling in its domestic industry at 10 rupees, it is exporting to other countries at 9 rupees 50 paise, but selling it in India at 7 rupees just to kill domestic industry, that is dumping. It is a measure. The anti-dumping duty is a measure to rectify the situation arising out of the dumping of goods and its trade distortive effect, and rectify this distortive effect of dumping to re-establish fair trade. The use of anti-dumping duty measures are an instrument of fair competition is permitted by WTO, World Trade Organization. It provides relief to the domestic industry against the injury caused by dumping. Only CMAs can certify the data to be submitted to Director General of Anti-Dumping and Allied Duties. This is an exclusive area for us, and I have worked with many companies on this. And the biggest consultant in this anti-dumping duty business is a cost accountant from Delhi. Similarly, anti-dumping duty, I may be exporting something to say Germany. Now from Germany, anti-dumping duty inquiry may also come to me. Then I have to face the inquiry, I have to share the data, I have to give all the information to prove that no, I am not dumping the goods. Otherwise they will impose anti-dumping duty and I become uncompetitive in that market. So these are the techniques of costing from my side. And before we go to ABC, Mr. Dorairajan, would you like to share something on competitive advantage techniques such as maybe lean manufacturing or something?
No, you have covered it. I'd like to tell a small story.
Sure.
I but it's just putting on the lighter way.
Please.
Because he has taken it very seriously and I don't tried that. See, it's one American and one Japanese. Two people, two businessmen, two wise men. They became friends and they went on a holiday for a safari in an African jungle. As they went deep inside the forest, in front of the jeep, they suddenly found one lion staring at them. The moment both of them saw the lion, the American started running. But the Japanese guy opened his suitcase, pulled out a shoe, running shoe, and was wearing the running shoe. This American was shouting at this, "You idiot, is the lion is going to see, are you wearing a Nike shoe or any other shoe?" It's going to hit anybody. He said, "I don't know about the lion, what it will do, but I know one thing about the lion. It will hit the person it gets first. And what I have to do is, I have to be one step ahead of you, that's all."
Competitive advantage.
That is a competitive advantage.
Very true. Anybody else would like to share any experience? Anything which I have missed out? Please come.
No, yesterday I have been very serious because they didn't give time to me, so to tell jokes.
Equity-based costing is a vast subject, A, and B, it also is very difficult to implement in toto. It has its own drawbacks because sometimes data is not available. Sometimes we go to very micro levels, etc. But still, activity-based costing is a very good tool. It makes us aware of various activities and costs associated with those activities, which we normally often may ignore. We may look at only the production activity, production costs, but there are a lot of activities which support the production, and there are a lot of activities which happen after production. Now say in case of FMCG companies, the post-production activity may consume 50% of the cost or even more sometimes. So just looking at our traditional costing, okay, what is my cost of production, it doesn't help. I need to go much beyond and look at all the activities in the organization. So what is activity-based costing? The definition: activities govern and assigns cost to cost objects such as products and services on the basis of activities undertaken to produce each product or service. It accurately identifies sources of profit and loss. So when I break down my P&L account into various activities, I can finally incurring a profit of 10 crore rupees. But in some activity I may be losing 50 lakh rupees, some activity I may gaining much more than normal, some product may be giving something more, etc. So breaking down and identifying the sources of profit and loss is helped by ABC. CMA defines ABC as an approach to the costing and monitoring of activities which involves tracing resource consumption and costing final outputs. So it is tracing the consumption of various resources, the various activities, and costing the final output through the consumption of resources and services and activities. Resources are assigned to activities and activities to cost objects based on consumption estimates. When I start my activity, I only have estimates. So that is how the resources are assigned. Driver, earlier we used to define as basis of allocation. Now they have refined it to cost driver. The two M's to remember while implementing ABC. This is the crux of success and or failure of activity-based costing. One is materiality. As CMAs, we are already drilled into, it's already drilled into our mind, the concept of materiality. If it is not material, please ignore it. Don't keep on searching for 5 rupees and 50 paise, etc. in everything. And measurability. If it cannot be measured, it cannot be improved upon, or it cannot be changed. That is the axiom. Similarly, everything which counts, which can be counted does not count. It may not be important, and everything which counts may not be counted. So what is important also we may or may not be able to count. So measurability and materiality, please keep in mind while doing ABC. Put it differently. I've built a chart like materiality high and low, same way measurability high and low. So in the right upper quadrant, materiality and measurability both are high. So let's start with this. If the measurability is high and materiality is low, it doesn't need to be looked into. I can keep on measuring, but I don't need that. It is not important in my total numbers. If an expenditure is 10 lakh rupees on a revenue of 1000 crore rupees, I will ignore it. So it is measurable where it is consumed, but it is not material. Similarly, if it is neither material nor measurable, again ignore. Third is, if it is material, if I can measure, if it is very high cost, but I cannot measure it, what do? I will build consensus. I will take all the departments, all the users, all the suppliers of that activity into consensus as to how to value it and how to charge it out. And I will keep on using and refining those estimates till I am satisfied with the outcome. And the fourth and the best area is where materiality is also high and measurability is also high. I can keep on analyzing it in full detail. So keep this in mind, M&M. Now I am not going into theory of activity-based costing. It is available in all textbooks, and in front of seniors, I feel I should not talk about it. However, at the end of everything, I will give you a source where we can learn the theory and practical aspects of activity-based costing. So, transaction decision, we'll take an example. Here is a expense account of a company. Total expenditure of 37 lakh rupees. Now it is manufacturing 7 or 8 products. Now it needs to quote for 1 lakh units of product A which is manufacturing. So accounts department gives a quote based on production quantity. So my production is say 1 crore units, and I divide this 37 lakhs by 1 crore units and then give a cost to the management. Whereas production department says no. We will look at the production hours and divide 37 lakhs by the total hours which we have consumed to produce all the goods in the factory. So the two figures come. Accounts department 37 paise per unit. The production department based on hours 617 hours in total says 5,772 rupees per hour. So this multiplied by total hours consumed to produce 1 lakh pieces of A will give me the total cost. So this is where it comes up. 37,000 rupees if it is based on production numbers, and 1,15,000 rupees if it is based on production hours. Now look at the gap between the two. So management feels no, the reality lies somewhere between. It cannot be this low and it is this high. So what to do? So they want guidance. They call CMA Costa, please come and help us. So Costa comes, he analyzes the data and works out activity cost. He does ABC and he submits his report. This is the breakup of 6 activities. And these are the cost drivers. So for product A, activity consumed, A requirement is 2 hours, B is 2 hours, C is 3 hours, etc. So this is how the total production of 1 crore unit was done over so many hours. The same database which was used by the production manager and accounts department. Only thing is breaking it up into activities. So based on this, he gives his report. See what he has done is, he has found out what is the cost per hour of various activities. This multiplied by the production of 50,000 units, how many hours were required for each activity. So he finds out that for 50,000 units production of product A, the cost came to 75,629 rupees. Thus, the total cost for 1 lakh of A comes to 1,51,000. It is neither 37,000 nor 1,15,000. It's not even in between the two. It is much above the two. Now, had the management chose either of the two methods, or even like we do, average of the two, it would have gone wrong and incurred a loss. So this is where ABC came into help in transaction costing. Now, Mr. Costa says, I will help you with strategy also through my activity-based costing. So what he does activity rate calculation. This is what we had, the total expenditure of 37 lakh rupees spread into various activities, various expenses. Then he found out what are the different cost drivers. He ignored the hours also. So different activities and different type of cost drivers. So he divided the total expense by different cost drivers, and he came to activity rate for each of the 6 activities. And he also found out that what was the total resource consumed for various products. So he has the total resource consumption, say of activity A is 1,51,000 resource consumed, B 2,80,000, etc. And against this, what was the total availability of activities? So what is my installed capacity of various activities? He plotted. Now if we see activity C, the difference between what is consumed and what is available is minimum. Compared to 3,80,000 availability, my actual utilization is only 3,51,000. Is quite close to the totality. So I need to manage activity C properly, and I need to utilize activity C in such a way that I can generate maximum profit. Because everywhere else there is a big gap between availability and utilization, whereas activity C is the minimum gap between the two. So here is the case of capacity constraint, how to prioritize products to get maximum profit. This is a strategic decision of activity-based costing. So what he has done is, he has plotted what is the cost and what is the selling price. So first column, we have the product name, then we have the sales quantity, we have the selling price, we have material cost, we have activity cost based on the various cost drivers, etc. So we come to the total cost and we come to the margin. Now if we see the margin, okay, now product G has the maximum margin of 293 per unit. Product H has the second largest margin of 256 rupees per unit. So multiply by sales quantity, what I find is product H has the maximum profit, 4,60,000. It's more than 40% of the total profit. But my capacity constraint is activity C. So what do I do? So I divide margin per unit of C, what is it I am consuming. So what I find is activity A total margin divided by its consumption of resource C in the previous slide is giving me a profit of 13.50. B is giving me a profit of 5.03. C is giving me a profit of 1.28. D is giving me a profit of 1.48. Likewise, unit wise I am getting a profit. Now what I find is, although product H is giving me the maximum profit in totality, 45% of my total profit comes from H, but margin per unit of C consumed is only 6 rupees 40 paise. So if I maximize that production, I am not going to earn the maximum profit. Where do I earn the maximum profit? It is going to be in product G, where my consumption per unit of C is giving me the maximum profit. Second, once I satisfy the demand, once I am unable to sell under product G quantity, then balance capacity of activity C I should consume in product A. Then it goes to product H. Likewise, we go down to the H product. So given the installed capacity, my first demand, my first preference is product G, second preference is product A, and likewise I can maximize my profit. So here ABC is used for strategic decision. Now we come to, as I was referring to, those who are interested in knowing more about activity-based costing. 2 years back, I had conducted a webinar during lockdown by a CMA, Kishore Bhatia. This is available on YouTube. I'll just share few things from there. He had done this for a bank abroad. So he had converted the P&L account into activity-based cost mechanism. So P&L was converted into various activities which the bank was performing: payment, validation, generate payment, special payment, return checks, etc., etc. And then he had converted these activities into cost objects, that is electronic payment, check payment, courier payment, manual payment, OCR payment. And he had come to see the same cost of 12 million in P&L account in activity and in cost objects. It's the same total but put differently for benefit of the management. Similarly, we had done this for a healthcare activity. So the P&L account of 85 lakh rupees was converted into activities of 85 lakh rupees, and then in path lab, how those 85 lakh rupees were converted to various activities is shown here. And to understand more of this, these are the links of his talk. They are available in YouTube. As I will be sharing this PowerPoint with everybody, you can go to the YouTube and listen to this. Or you can even mention his name, Kishore Bhatia, and you can also mention CAMAP, through which organization through which we had done this webinar. Thank you very much. This is the end of my presentation. And one of the books published by our institute, Compendium of Cost Competitive Practices in India. This was published in 2014, and I am sure our council members would go a step further and come up with a new edition. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai CMA. This is my email ID.
I am CMA Ashutosh Kumar Tripathi, practicing cost accountant from Bilaspur itself. Thanks a lot for a wonderful session. I have a question regarding benchmarking. The question comes with once we benchmark our industry or our data with some another industry, then question comes, how reliable data is that? Because I have been into telecom for so many years, and it was so difficult to benchmark within the same company because uniform costing or uniform accounting was not prevailing there. So if we are trying to benchmark from industry outside country, or if not in the same company, outside the company, then question comes, how reliable is the data?
Is a prime concern. I do not know about this, but what I have seen in the past is industries like textile, they have industry associations or even cement manufacturers association. They collect data from various agencies, various manufacturers. They tabulate those data without the name of the manufacturer, and they give the benchmark based on those data. So these are available, but it is very difficult to go for external benchmarking. Even within the organization, if the data is collected, maybe my mic is active, that is why it's giving the noise. Even within the same organization, if different factories are keeping data in different manner, then you will have this issue. So if you really look at it, our institute has come out with cost accounting standards so that uniformity can be achieved. Another case of benchmarking I can share with you, of course not at a micro level, or even I have my doubts about the accuracy, is MCA had come out with data for various industries through cost audit reports filed with it. Of course, it was giving data based on HSN codes and some services, but it was still worthwhile. Not easy to use that data because, as you rightly pointed out, for benchmarking we need uniform data which is not always available, nor do we know what are the inclusions and exclusions or how data is compiled or how accurate it is. So it is always a challenge.
I think Mr. Tripathi is talking about the telecom industry.
Yeah, yeah. Then data is not available from TRAI.
I do not know much about telecom industry, and I do not try and compile a lot of data, but whether they share the data or not, I do not know.
So that doesn't give data. TRAI basically gives numbers about subscribers.
Because I am giving the one example regarding Maharashtra Electricity Regulatory Commission. TRAI, all are fixing the prices. They are the regulatory authority to fix the prices. So they are collecting the data. Anybody has to increase the prices. They have to apply there, get their not approval, and then they have to. For that they have to do the data. And there is a public hearing also in that case also. So data, I think data.
So in case of TRAI, you find the data regarding revenue, ARPU, and other things, but you won't find any data regarding cost.
Nobody.
That is not it.
Most of the companies, it is very difficult to get data on cost.
But they only.
No, but that will say, for example, I may download my competitor's annual report, but it still does not give me a lot of data because if it is a multi-product, multi-location company, I cannot break up that data. Earlier, if you recollect in 2012, lot of quantitative information was also available in annual report, and installed capacity, utilization, major raw material quantity consumed, cost consumed, etc. So that was giving a lot of data. Now that has also gone. But yes, you are right. Benchmarking, external benchmarking is a difficult exercise.
Thank you so much, sir. Another question is regarding PLC. Can you give a real life example, because you have been into consulting since last many years. So can you give any current example of PLC?
Sorry, what is PLC?
Sorry, product life cycle costing.
Personally, I have not done.
Okay.
But you will have to open textbook or you just refer to Google. You will find a lot of those things. Of course, if any expert would like to share their views, please come up.
See, the consumer durable industry has got this life cycle costing done. They have to come out with new models. They have to make their own product obsolete to stay in the market ahead of the competitor. That is a business compulsion. And hence, the mobile. Can you get now what you got in 2020? Okay, same thing, electronic industry is one industry where this product obsolescence is created by the original manufacturer himself. It's not by outsiders. Okay, so if you want to really have a good those are examples of that one. Look at any consumer durable industry. I've got some cases if you want to take it. I don't want to share about that particular one. The concept is, we don't build a product to last more than 5 years in the consumer durable industry. If it lasts more than that one, it's fine. Similarly, consumer goods, particularly the edibles, excepting some pillar brands they call it as, other items are always product innovation is supposed to come and then new varieties are to be introduced in the edibles. Okay, well maybe the Good Day may be a pillar brand lasting for more than 25 years in Britannia. But how many other varieties have come and gone? So these are all the cases where the life cycle costing is done. Okay, sometimes formally, sometimes informally. How much accountants are playing a role in that one is a doubtful question in those organizations. Okay, that's fine. That's where we have to step up. We have to get out of the boundaries of the financial accounting and go out of that. Even now, in the ABC examples that we see, how I got it from the P&L, I checked. This fundamental principle is, it is aggregated first, then you are going for segregation. That is why this cost drivers, apportionment rate, basis of apportionment, basis of allocation, etc. If you collect the data in a segregated way, you can aggregate it any which way you want. So how are you going to create a database in the organization in a segregated way so that you can assemble? It's like putting different pieces of jigsaw puzzle and then create different images. That is what is to be done. Whereas the financial accounting is aggregated first. Then we try to segregate, break our head first. That's what I mean. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you. I got a lot of example experience in doing that one.
I have a question. How do we implement ABC costing technique in coal industry?
A, I do not have any experience of mining, forget coal industry. B, of course it won't be difficult. Yes, it is time consuming, but you need to identify the various activities which are happening within the organization, which may be directly related. So there will be 3 types of activities. One is direct mining, second is activities supporting mining, and third is the other activities which happen such as accounting or etc., corporate function, etc. So these 3 levels you will have to identify. Then you will have to put down all the activities which happen. Then you will have to find out what are the measures you can introduce to this, and out of this what can be measured, what cannot be measured, what is important, what is not important, as we already discussed in that graph, and then implement. This would be the common steps for any industry. Would you like to add something?
Yes, thank you, sir.
No, yes, I want to explain. Hello. I just wanted to brief my friend how it can be applied to coal industry. I made an effort to publish a paper in your seminar, this following, which clearly indicates the steps required to apply ABC costing for this industry, because I also had plus 30 years experience as accountant and plus 50 years experience as cost auditor for this industry. So it is made an effort just only for serving the purpose of your seminar. And this can be analyzed by you and your other experts, because we have worked it, and if we come out with the details and the cost drivers and other things and where to apply, how to apply, on a select basis, if we do it and present it to our management, I mean board of directors, CMDs, director finance, they may give a close look to it, and wherever it is necessary. ABC costing is not a substitute for the existing costing. It is analysis for taking effective decisions by the management. So if the management likes to have it, they will definitely
give regard to your thoughts, and they will do. So, it is my humble request that you, fellow members, have to come out with more and more thoughts for its active application. Then it will be done, I think. Now, my experts can guide me in this respectively.
Do you have a minute?
Excuse me.
Can I have a minute?
I agree with the Murthy that it is not a substitute of the costing system. It is one of the tools of the in coal industry. We are doing OBR accounting. This SCCL system is different, but WCL, where Mr. Srinivasan was working there in Umred, we use very scientific way of allocation of the expenditure between coal and OBR. Dumper, dozer, excavators, drill machines, everything we are calculating based on the working and there is a financial code of the expenditure. We are booking the expenditure, we are preparing the OBR costing based on the activity-based costing only. This we are applied in Umred, and we are doing current ratio, standard ratio, everything, and we are doing very scientific way in Umred because it is having multi-sim working. Where there is a multi-sim working, there is a current ratio is more important, and this activity-based costing were being implemented since 1980s in the coal industry when NCDC was there and Mr. Yenke Bose was our, he has made a system for OBR accounting that includes the activity-based costing in that time itself. So we are doing activity-based costing in coal industry also in OBR and coal accounting.
I was about to talk about that only, the first format of NCDC.
Yes.
But if you go, I happen to lay a hand on that one. That is Red Book. That Red Book format, I tell you honestly, is so powerful. So powerful. And I can see the glimpse of the thoughts of this ABC. Much after that only Kaplan has talked about it. But it has been done in that. Only the problem is that we have not extended it to new minds that has come. We have not extended it to the underground. That is where we have done, what resource we have, what knowledge we have, what practice we have not applied it elsewhere. That is what my observation of it is.
And we are diluted.
Yeah, we diluted. Drastically, because NCDC format should not be used. That's a paradigm also.
But NCDC was
yeah.
Red book, yellow book, white book, that is very
consistent. 75, 78. I worked for 3 years in the coal India, the civil defense club. And for Bishampur mines, the cost sheets were from the NCDC.
From Sinha.
So I still remember those sheets, some formats. I can possibly rewrite it today. So powerful. Thank you.
Our India is implementing ERP inside, and there is a provision for machine-wise costing. Like all machines, all activities are, there is a provision for costing of each machine's wise activity based on machine-wise. Like if you want to make expenditure, what expenditure we have done on surface miner or continuous miner or any other equipment, dumper, dozer, etc. We have the facility to get the costing of that machines also. So this is one step Coal India has done, and in coming 2 or 3 months, costing will be cost sheet will be prepared by Coal by ERP system. This is what I would like to add.
Competitive advantages very nicely by various ways. Cost competitiveness, cost of poor quality, prevention of unrelevant cost, reduction of waste, avoid rework, rectification, external features like a loss of goodwill and loss of sales. Here very nicely explained target costing. First we have to have a selling price in the market because we have to remain in the market, then reduce our profit, then make cost within that amount. Life cycle costing and competitive intelligence, anti-dumping duty, and here specifically mentioned that only CMA can certify it. anti-dumping, and now he has gone to the ABC costing. Now he has gone to the, then he has explained the ABC costing. So he has explained very nicely. So subject was very theoretical. So in between I have to intervene and get the people activated so that they will also have a live in listening. So I thank Bhatia ji and I thank Bilaspur chapter for giving the opportunity to me to chair this session. And now I hand over the mic to the organizers.
Thank you so much, sir. Now please join us on stage to present a memento. Our guest speaker, CMA Kishore Bhatia, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please, for vote of thanks, I would like to, sir, please join here.
I myself, Mrs. Sinha, CMA, on behalf of Bilaspur chapter of Cost Accountants, convey my heartiest thanks to CMA Kishore Bhatia, sir, and ex-president P.B. Bhattad, sir, who shared his immense practical knowledge to us on the topic of competitiveness through ABC and other costing techniques on this technical session. Generally, we get very busy in business or company's work, so there is always chance to forget our main objectives. This kind of technical session not only reminds us our main objectives of work and at the same time updated our knowledge and techniques in current business scenario. Thank you.